Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat. I welcome you all on this auspicious day of Jagadguru Shri Jagadguru Shri Shankaracharya Jayanti. And we are likely to be accompanied on this journey of knowing Adi Shankaracharya Ji with our beloved Swami, Pujya Swami Dharmakirti Ji, and also from Divine Life Society, Swami Ramswarupanand Ji. So I'm not sure if they are here already, but I believe they will be here, and my pranam to both of them. So we start with a Shanti part first and with little introduction of Jagadguru. And then we continue with the program. So please get ready for Shanti part. Sitting quietly, comfortably, with spine erect, both the hands on knees in chosen mudra, eyes gently closed. Observe your body with closed eyes, part by part, starting from head all the way down to toes. And if there is any tightness, discomfort, make necessary adjustment. And then become steady. Motionless. Observe your ingoing and outgoing breath. Observe it closely, what sensation it creates in the nasal passage, in the throat, and down all the way into chest as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, again, observe the same thing. Observe the rate and depth of your breath and the body parts that move with your breathing. No breath should enter your body without your awareness. And when mind has quietened down to some extent, then take your awareness to eyebrow center and visualize the symbol of your meditation or a jyoti, steady flame, burning bright. Keeping your awareness focused on this symbol, we will chant Omkar 3 times, followed by Shanti mantras all together. Breathe in. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Savidyam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sit quietly for a few moments. Let the symbol of your meditation disappear, and shift your awareness from eyebrow center back onto the whole body. Become aware of the whole body and gradually externalize your awareness by becoming aware of the sounds and other sensations arising from the environment or from the surface of your body. And when you are ready, rub your palms together till they are warm, and then keep them over your closed eyes. Feel the transfer of warmth and prana. Blink your eyes few times, then open and remove your palms. Hari Om Tat Sat. So today we are celebrating the Jayanti, birth anniversary of our Adi-Guru. We are all children, grandchildren of Adi Shankaracharya. He, as you already know, he is a staunch Vedantin, but no, he's not only a Vedantin, he's also a Bhakt, and we will know that today and in future also. And he has established and refined the sannyas tradition. And our Saraswati title is also one of his Dashana means sannyas tradition that we belong to. So I reserve all this information for Sannyasi Shivarupa. He is our very old, one of the old devotees of Bihar School of Yoga, residing in Bombay, IT person, but he amazingly, surprisingly, even I did not know, he is a Bada Chupa Rustam. He is not only an intellectual IT person, but he is also spiritually grown, and he has gone deep into the study of Adi Shankaracharya. So today he is going to share some of his stories and knowledge about Adi Shankaracharya with us. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om. Guru Paduka Stotram. Ananta samsara samudra tara naukaitabhyam guru bhakti dabhyam vairagya samrajada pujanabhyam namo namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam namo namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam कवेत्ववारा शिनिशाकराभ्यां दौर्भाग्यदावाम्बुदमालिकाभ्यां दूरीकृतानम्रविपत्तिताभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नताययो श्री पतितां समीयु कदाचिदप्याशु दरिद्रवर्य मूकाश्च वाचस्पतितां हिताभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नालीकनिकाश्पदाहृताभ्यां नानाविमोहादिनिवारिकाभ्यां नमज्जनाभीष्टततिप्रदाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नृपालिमौलि व्रजरत्नकान्ति सरिद्विराज झषकन्यकाभ्यां नृपत्वदाभ्यां नतलोकपङ्क्ते नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां पापान्धकारार्कपरम्पराभ्यां तापत्रयाहीन्द्रखगेश्वराभ्यां जाढ्याद्भिसंशोषणवाडवाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां क्षमादिषट्क प्रदवैभवाभ्यां समाधिदान व्रतदीक्षिताभ्यां रामाधवाङ्घ्रि स्थिरभक्तिदाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां स्वार्चापराणामखिलेष्टदाभ्यां स्वाहा सहायाक्षधुरन्धराभ्यां स्वान्ताच्छ भाव प्रदपूजनाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां कामादिसर्पव्रजगारुडाभ्यां विवेकवैराग्यनिधि प्रदाभ्यां बोधप्रदाभ्यां धृतमोक्षदाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम।
Hari Om. Well, so Swami Nirmalananda has tasked me with speaking about Adi Shankaracharya, and I really don't have any qualification. I mean, they are very, very learned people on this call, so I feel like quite a fool. But what I've done is, most of us have read or heard about Swamiji in many, many of, stories from here and there. What I'm going to do is just remind everybody of a collection of stories which remind us of his wisdom, of the miracle that was Adi Shankar. Because otherwise, to speak of him is to speak of the cosmos. He's like beyond our grasp. But he is, like Swami Nirmalananda said, our great, great, great grand guru. So we can take some liberties. So let me start. First of all, another caveat, there are so many multiple sources and time has passed. Even the date of birth varies around 1300 years. So bear with me if you feel the particular story that I'm talking about is a little different from what you may have read from another source. But overall, let's hope this helps us remind us of the life. And let me start with a background of the times that was prevalent when Adi Jagadguru was born. It was a time of great degeneration of the Vedic Sanatan Dharma. So many small atheistic, agnostic, gnostic sects had arisen. Nothing wrong with multiple paths to divinity, but there was a lot of conflict and a lot of pulling down of everybody. Not just spiritually, even in terms of geographically, India had become a very disintegrated kind of a land. So at that point, it was very necessary for someone to come to reclaim the spiritual glory of Vedic Sanatan Dharma, and also to kind of give an impetus into the integration of India. And at that point in time, in Kerala, in the village of Kaladi, which is now not very far from Cochin, in a very small village in those days, there was this poor Brahmin couple, Shivaguru and his wife Vishishta Devi, who lived in Kaladi. This was, I'm taking 788 as AD as his birth time. So somewhere in the mid to late 8th century, Shivaguru and Vishishta Devi were spending a very spiritual life in Kaladi, and they yearned for a child. Now, to be honest, Shivaguru had spent a lot of time in his early life in spiritual pursuits, almost like a sannyasin. And by the time they had got their material life sorted out and they had started, things had got pretty late. But all the same, they longed, like many other parents long, for a child. And after a significant wait, they decided that let us get the grace of the Lord, and they decided to do tapas of Chandramalishwar Shiva. There was a mound, there was kind of a hilly area, with forested hilly area close to Kaladi, where they decided to relocate, and they immersed themselves in meditation, prayer, fasting. They would eat kandamulam every day, and they prayed to Lord Shiva for a child. This continued for almost a year, and before the year was done, Shivaguru had a great dream where he saw the Lord Shiva manifested before him, and he told Shivaguru, Shivaguru, I am pleased with you. Ask me for a boon. So Shivaguru had already decided the boon that he wanted. So he said, Lord, witnessing your form is itself a boon, but now that you instruct me, I ask for a child. And the child should be both omniscient and long lived. So Shiva thought for a second and then he retorted. He said, that's actually two boons. He said, you asked for long lived and omniscient. I offered you one boon, and you've got to decide now whether you want omniscient or you want long lived. Shivaguru did not even hesitate for a second, and he responded, Lord, give me an omniscient child. I am not after the child being long lived. And Lord Shiva blessed him and disappeared. And Shivaguru awoke from that divine dream, and he woke up his wife and he said, wake up, Vishishta. This is the dream that I had. And both of them discussed it at length. And Vishishta Devi had an intuition about such a happening also by some accounts. When her husband used to be immersed in prayer many years ago, she had also had some sort of a premonition of this nature. So both of them had that bittersweet happiness that a child is indeed on its way. Of course, it will be short-lived. So that pain, despite that pain, they were waiting in anticipation for the arrival of the divine child. And sure enough, in a very short while, Vishishta Devi, went into the family way. And today, many years ago, on Vaishak Shukla Panchami, the divine child, Adi Jagadguru Shankaracharya, was born. And he had that aura. So everybody could realize that he was indeed a divine child. But when the village horoscope, village astrologer cast the horoscope, he also said this seems to be an incarnate personality, but he has a Balarishtam yoga. That means this child will not survive the age of 8. So that's the maximum cap I see this child surviving. Well, the parents had already reconciled themselves to this being the dictate of destiny, so they decided, let's go with it. And they entirely, focused on nurturing this divine child, and trying to teach him everything that they could pass on to the child. And what a child it was! The child was Shrutidhara. So that means anything he heard, he would remember, and he could narrate it impeccably, perfectly. Anything he saw, he could narrate back impeccably, perfectly. So anything he heard, anything he saw, he had a photographic memory. He would just be able to narrate it impeccably. And what his father used to do is he used to narrate the Dharma Shastras, the epics, the Puranas, the Upanishads, Darshan Shastras of various religions when he was around Shankar, loudly, so that Shankar could internalize all of this. And indeed, the child was picking up everything at a pace they couldn't even imagine. And the father took a sankalpa that when the child is merely 5 years of age, I am going to get the child's Upanayanam done, and I will initiate him into formal learning. Unfortunately, Vidhi had its own plan, and the father passed away before Shankar was even 5 years of age. But when his fifth year came, his mother decided to fulfill the sankalpa of Shivaguru, and she got Shankar. She came back to the village of Kaladi. She got Shankar to have his Upanayanam, the Yajnopavit, Sanskara, etc., and initiated him in formal learning and sent him to a Gurukul which was close by. And of course, his learning in the Gurukul began to grow in leaps and bounds. And even the Guru was delighted to see the manner of, the level of learning. It was almost like a miracle how Shankar had either already knew many concepts or many of the scriptural ideas, but he picked them up with an appetite that was unbelievable. At the same time, there were also miracles that would manifest when Shankar closed his eyes and with a powerful sankalp prayed. For example, when, as a bhikshuk, when he was going around asking for bhiksha, he went to a particular family, and the family had no food at home. So the lady of the household came out with tears in her eyes, and she said, listen, we don't have a single grain of food, a single grain of rice at home. All we have is this gooseberry, this amla. And she gave that to Shankar. This really moved the child Shankar, and he closed his eyes and he began to pray to Goddess Mahalakshmi. And when she manifested in his consciousness, he asked her, Mother, please grace this family with wealth, take away their poverty. And Goddess Mahalakshmi said, hey, 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 hang on. This family has done no good deed in the last 4 lives to deserve this kind of a benediction. And Shankar said, well, at least they've given me this gooseberry, this amla. So in return of that, you give them something. The goddess smiled and she disappeared. That night, it is said, in just that house, the courtyard of that house, there was a rain, a torrential downpour of golden amlas, and the family's poverty was gone forever. In a similar vein, there was another episode, when his mother used to go every day to the river Alwai, the Purna river. She used to take a bath, then she used to visit her Ishtadevata's temple and come back. And she was old and infirm. At one point, one day she was not well. She fainted on the way. The child was a big devotee of his mother, Adi Shankar. And after waiting for some time, when his mother didn't appear, he and his friends went out in search of her and found her in a fainted state, and he brought her home with tears streaming from his eyes. And after taking care of her, he closed his eyes in prayer to the Lord and he said, Lord, please don't give my mother this difficulty. Let the Purna river flow beside our house. A child of 7 years of age making such a sankalpa, such a request, with all the power and all the purity, in a matter of a month or so, the Purna River indeed changed its course and began to flow past their house. And the mother used to sometimes tell people with with legitimate pride that, it is Shankar's Sankalpa and prayer that has caused the river to, change its way. Uh, and so on and so forth. So his brilliance began to catch the attention of many people. In fact, King Rajashekhar of that area also became a devotee. He offered elephants and wealth, and Shankar politely declined, and he said, it is not for me. I want to lead the life of a bhikshu, doing my sandhya vandanam and my prayers and my spiritual pursuits. And that actually further made the king a fan of Adi Shankar. But some great saints also came attracted by his fame, and one of the people was a great astrologer. And this astrologer, when he met Shankar, he said, you've got this Balarishta yoga in your horoscope. And he said it is actually a Balarishta, it's an Arishta yoga of three types. You will either die at 8. If by the will of the Lord and intense tapas, you survive at 8, you will live for 8 years more till the age of 16. But that's when you will die. One chance out of 1,000. If you manage to survive, and it can only be due to the blessings of an incarnate personality, if you do survive, you will live another 16 years. But then at the age of 32, you will wind up your lok yatra. You will achieve moksha. Now, when Shankar heard this, he said, if I've got my life is only till 8 years, what am I doing with my life? I want to achieve fulfillment, spiritual fulfillment and moksha, etc. And his heart began to really yearn for sannyasa. And since he was the mother's only child and only support, he used to go repeatedly to his mother and say, Mother, grant me the permission to take sannyasa. And his mother used to say, Shankar, please don't say that. I cannot grant you this. Ask anything else. But you are my only support, and I cannot grant you this. And both became more and more eager. Shankar every day would repeat this. The mother would even more determinedly refuse, until one day an event took place. So one day when they were at the bathing ghats, Shankar got caught, his leg got caught by a crocodile, and the crocodile was relentlessly pulling him into the water. And it was a time for, a dangerous time for Shankar, and everybody tried to save him, but to no avail. And, Shankar tried his best, but after that, he prayed to his mother. He said, Mother, if I can't live as a sannyasi, let me die as a sannyasi, because sannyas is my destiny and my aspiration. So let the wish of a dying man be fulfilled. And with great reluctance and sorrow, his mother said, so be it, my son. May you live the life of a sannyasi. At that point, immediately, the crocodile left Adi Shankar and disappeared in the water. Some say he became a celestial being and vanished like a Gandharv in the sky. But what matters is Shankar had the permission from his mother now to take sannyas, and his sankalp of being a sannyasi had already commenced. So after he healed over a period of time, he decided that he will set out now in the search of his guru. And he had a very clear idea who his guru would be. But we'll cover some of that in a little bit. For some time, I'm just going to take a little bit of a pause while we talk about Shankar's compositions in different dimensions. Everybody would have heard of Vivek Chudamani, the Brahma Sutra Bhashyam, but the greatest composition in praise of the Divine Mother Lalita Tripur Sundari it's the Saundarya Lahiri, which is over 100 shlokas. So for today, I think if we want to remember Adi Jagadguru, we should look at probably a smaller invocation to Goddess Lalita Tripura Sundari, which I believe the Lalita Pancharatnam is an excellent example. The Lalita Pancharatnam is again a divine, it's a divine incantation. And if you really look at it carefully, you will see the progression of a devotee's engagement with the deity, and how he goes from the form to the hands to the feet to the aura. And finally, in the fifth shloka, Shankar no longer talks to the deity as a third person. He refers to the deity as you and me, first person, second person, and everything else is dissolved while he prays to her in the first and second person. So without further ado, I will request the chanting of the Lalita Pancharatnam. Hari Om. That's it.
Hari Om. Lalita Pancharatnam. Prata Smarami Lalita Vadanarvindam Bimbadharam Pruthalamaupikashobhinasam Akarnadirghanayanam Manikundaladyam Mandasmitam Mrugamadojwalafaladesham Pratarbhajami Lalita Bhujakalpavallim Raktanguli Alasadanguli Pallavatyam Mahanikya Hemavalayangada Shubhamana Mundrekshu Chapa Kusume Sushruni Dadana Pratarnamami Lalita Charanaravindam Bhaktishthadana Niratam Bhavasindhupotam Padmasanati Suranayaka Pujaniyam Padmankushadhvaja Sudarshana Lanchanadyam Pratastuve Parashivam Lalitam Bhavanim Trayanta Vedya Vibhavam Karunanavadyam Vishwasya Srushti Vilaya Sthiti Hetu Bhutam Viddeshwarim Nigamavang Maya Sati Duram Pratarvadami Lalite Tava Punyanama Kameshwariti Kamaleti Maheshwariti Sri Shambhaviti Jagatam Janani Pareti Vagdevateti Vachasa Tripureshwariti Vagdevateti Vachasa Tripureshwariti Vagdevateti Vachasa Tripureshwariti Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.
Hari Om. So let's now restart the journey towards the Guru with our Grand Guru Adi Shankar. I told you that Adi Jagadguru had a very clear idea who his Guru was. And where he had heard about his guru was when he was learning in his Gurukul. He was learning Vyakaran. In those days, you learned Nyaya, Vyakaran, and those were the subjects taught in the Gurukul. When he mastered the Vyakarana Shastra, it was the sutras of Patanjali. So we all know of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, but Maharshi Patanjali also wrote the Vyakarana Sutras. And Shankar mastered them. And his guru at that time said, you know, there is a belief that there's a reincarnation of Rishi Patanjali who meditates in a cave all alone in the banks of the river Narmada in the holy tirth of Omkareshwar. And at that point in time, he also told Shankar that he is considered a reincarnation of Rishi Patanjali. When Shankar had heard this, he intuitively felt that that is the objective of my quest for a guru. And he set out from Kaladi on the, in the outskirts of Cochin, in the coastal areas of Kerala, and walked all the way up to Madhya Pradesh, to the banks of the river Narmada to find his guru. And as Shankara's Sankalpa was always perfect, he found the guru, he found the cave, and he found a lot of devotees around it. There was obviously a great deal of spiritual fervor. People used to actually, without being able to listen to this saint, they used to look forward to his darshan and his presence. And somebody said, if you want to have his darshan, you can take this earthen lamp, go to the end of the cave, and you will find the guru, the meditating saint. So Shankar went, and he went, and inside with the dim light, he saw the guru, Jatajut Dhari. He was like Shiv Shankar himself. He had long matted locks. His body was emaciated, but his aura was resplendent. He looked like a living Shankar himself in meditation, and he had been in Samadhi by some accounts, nobody knows how long, but for almost 1,000 years. And the minute Shankar saw this divine being, he fell to his knees and he began to invoke the divinity in that saint. And he said, "Oh Lord, Swamiji, make me your disciple. Guide me, mentor me, coach me." And he said he extolled the virtues of the divine guru, and he requested him to take him under his guidance. Like I said, the Sankalpa of Adi Shankar was perfect. And to the surprise of many people who had visited this monk time after time and had never seen him awaken, gradually spandana, the movement began to happen, and this saint came to life again. From his samadhi he came out, and his divine eyes looked upon Shankar, and he said, "Who are you?" And Shankar had already witnessed the divinity of this guru. Now it was the turn of Shankar to reveal his identity as a divine student. And what he said convinced the guru that this was the disciple I have been waiting for millennia, and he is the person to take forward my message. But we'll touch upon that in a little bit. First, I want to just discuss a little bit on the journey of Shankar under the guru's wing. So the guru was delighted to get a disciple like Shankara, and he began to teach him, guide him, and share all the knowledge and wisdom that he had accumulated. In the first year, he taught him the secrets of Hatha Yoga, and Shankara perfected it. In the second year, he taught him the secrets of Raj Yoga, and Shankar perfected it. And in the third year, he taught him the secrets of Jnana Yoga, and Shankar perfected it. And from a child, he became divinity personified. And he used to stay in the Turiya Avastha, in a meditative state for long spells, and his aura became resplendent like the Guru's, similar to the Guru. Some disciples really couldn't understand what was going on. This 8-year-old boy, for 3 years, he's been, learning so many things from the Guru. Is he genuinely great, or what's going on? But I think all doubts were dispelled when a miraculous event took place in their life. So one day the Narmada was in great spate, and it was, it was flooding, and the Guru was meditating in the cave in Samadhi, and he had told all the disciples, "No one touch me, no one disturb me, no one move me." And while he was meditating, the water levels were rising, and it was just a matter of time that the water would enter the cave and it would drown the Guru. So the disciples were in a very confused state, and they didn't know what to do. When they approached Shankar and they said, "What do we do, Shankar?" Shankar, with great equanimity, said, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." He picked up an earthen pot and he chanted some mantras inside, and he placed it in the gufa, the dwar, the entrance of the cave. And he said, "Any water that comes to the entrance of the cave will be swallowed by the pot and will disappear." The other disciples thought he had lost his mind. He said, we have to do something and all. But some people were saying, "Let's watch." True to the Shankar's, words, as the water rose, every drop that went to the mouth of the cave went inside the ghada, the pot, and disappeared. When the Guru came out from the cave and he left his state of samadhi, the disciples were ecstatic, and they went on and on telling him that, "Lord, see what Shankar has done. This is a miracle." That is when the Guru recalled the prophecy he had witnessed in his previous life. So this Guru, to tell you more about him, was our Param Guru also, Govind Bhagwat Pad, the direct disciple of Sri Gaudpad, who was himself the direct disciple of Shukadev, who is well known in the Puranas, who himself was the child and direct disciple of Lord Vedvyas. So this was the lineage to which Shankar had come. But in his previous life, Govind Bhagwat Pad was himself Patanjali. And when he went to meet Lord Vedvyas, he said, "Hey, Maharshi, you have written the Brahma Sutras, which are full of wisdom and which the world needs and which are divinity personified. But not only ordinary people, but even extraordinary people cannot understand that text of yours. Who will translate that text and bring it to the consciousness of hundreds of religious and spiritual seekers?" And Vedvyas intuitively said, "There is only Shankar, Lord Shiva can only translate it." In his mind, he thought. And he said, "Oh, Maharshi Patanjali, your disciple who fills the river in a pot will be the person who will wave victoriously the flag of Vedic Sanatan Dharma and will do the translation of the Brahma Sutras." And this, of course, Govind Bhagwat Pad was himself a divine saint, and he recalled the conversation from his previous life. And he told Shankar, "This was the prophecy that Lord Vedavyas had told me in my previous life. And you are the manifestation of that prophecy." And with that, he also then instructed Shankar to take forward his mission, his mandate to spread Vedic Sanatan Dharma in all four directions in the country of Bharat, and to take forward unqualified monism or Advait Vedant, and let everybody understand it in a way they could digest it, or at least the qualified people I'd understand it in a much better way. Shortly after he gave this mandate to Adi Shankar, the Guru said, "My Leela is over in this world," and he took Samadhi and he merged himself with the Absolute. Now it was Shankar's turn to begin on his new journey. And he traveled to Kashi, and there are many, many, many episodes. He went to Kashi all over the world, and he created many, his tales of wisdom and miracle and knowledge, learning are well known, and we can talk about it in some future session. But before I wrap this up, I just wanted to go back to, when the Guru had asked Shankar, "Who are you?" What had Shankar responded was a set of 6 shlokas which identified him with the absolute Brahma, the unqualified absolute Brahma. Even at that stage when he was seeking disciplehood, he was saying, I am neither a disciple nor the master. And he was identifying himself with the absolute cosmic truths. And that shloka, set of 6 shlokas, the Nirvana Shatakam, was what he at that point in time chanted in response to the Guru's question. And here I request that we chant the Nirvana Shatakam. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Mano-buddhi-ahankar chitta-ninaham nacha shrota-jibhe nacha ghran-netre nacha vyoma-bhumirna tejo na-vayu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Nacha Pran Sangyo न वै पञ्चवायुर्न वा सप्तधातुर्न वा पञ्चकोशः न वाक्पाणिपादौ न चोपस्थपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मे द्वेषरागौ न मे लोभमोह मदो नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मे मृत्यु शंका न मे जाति भेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रम् गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुर्व्याप्य सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां सदा मे समत्वं न मुक्तिर्न बन्धः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् Hari Om. Please get ready for Shanti Path. Eyes gently closed. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya sarvesham swastir bhavatu सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु लोकाः समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. So it was a beautiful evening, isn't it? 3 beautiful chantings and more than that. I never thought that learning about Adi Guru will be so interesting. इतना रसमय होगा वो कभी सोचा भी नहीं था. So I really want to thank Shivarupa, and I hope that he shares his knowledge and understanding more frequently with us in future, as and when he can. That would be really एक बड़ा उपकार होगा हम लोगों पर, because we know Adi Shankara as a Vedantin, but this part of his life, you know what lies behind his Vedanta philosophy and his divinity. At least I did not know. Many of you may have known here and there, but the way he brought things together was just amazing. And it was so beautiful, so beautiful. And really, Shivarupa, you proved those words that you are a Chuparustam. Yeah, please do us this favor of sharing your knowledge with us in future. And I must thank Shashank also, Shashank Desai, Sannyasi Atmadharma, and his wife Nirmal Bhav, who chanted Lalita Pancharatnam. It was their idea, and they knew Shivarupa's this side of his personality. And so they only have created this Zoom meeting, which we were thinking, oh, we just had one and now again in 3 days' time. But yes, it has really paid us a huge dividend. Thank you. Thank you all for being with us, and see you in Guru Purnima. Hari Om Tat Sat. Unless Shashank organizes something else. Something is coming up on 6th December, 6th June also. So keep in touch on Satyananda Family group, and you will know our future activities. Hari Om Tat Sat.